Here's James Crumbley. We're going to listen to him. This is the father who has been convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Listen in.
Yes, no problem. I was just clarifying, Your Honor. Thank you.
Before I address this court directly, I want to do something that I have never been able to do throughout this time until now. I want to say I can't imagine the pain and agony that for the families that have lost their children and what they're experiencing and what they're going through. As a parent, our biggest fear is losing our child or our children. And to lose a child is unimaginable. My heart is really broken for everybody involved. I understand my words are not going to bring any comfort. I understand that they're not going to relieve any pain. And quite frankly, they probably just don't believe me. However, I really want the families of Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, Tate Meyer, Mir, and Justin Schilling to know how truly sorry I am and how devastated I was when I heard what happened to them. I have cried for you and the loss of your children more times than I can count. I know your pain and loss will never go away. Part of you will be missing forever. But please know that I am truly very sorry. I am sorry for your loss as a result of what my son did. I cannot express how much I wish that I had known what was going on with him or what was going to happen. Because I absolutely would have done a lot of things differently. Again, my heart pours out to every single one of you. It really does. Judge Matthews, I'm not gonna overdo a lot of things that were already said. But I know the full amount of pressure that you have on you and the responsibility that has been placed on you throughout this case. I have the utmost respect for you, and I'm simply going to ask that you sentence me in a fair and just way. You presided over my trial and heard the evidence that was presented against me. You know that what my son did, I was not aware of, or that he was planning it, or that he obtained access to the firearms in my house. There was absolutely no evidence that suggested that. As my attorney has told you, I've been on lockdown for 23 hours a day. I've not been able to speak to my son since November 30th, and I have not been able to speak with my wife since December 3rd. I know that I have experienced pales in compassion to what those families who've lost their children and countless other victims experience every day because of what my son did. But I want you to know I too grieve for everyone, as I have explained. For everyone that's been affected by what my son pled guilty to doing. And I'll continue to feel this pain for the rest of my life as well. If I could go back and change things, if I could go back and do things differently, and maybe none of us would be here today. So again, I ask Your Honor to impose a just and fair sentence based on the truth about what you heard during my trial. I'm asking the court to sentence me to time served and place me on probation for the maximum time allowed with the GPS tether for as long as the court deems necessary. I also want to address one last thing. And that's to what Tate Mears' dad said. It is time that we all know the truth. We have been prohibited from telling the whole truth. The whole truth has not been told. And I'm with you, Mr. Meir. I too want the truth. Because you have not had it. You have not had the truth at all. The truth has not been presented to you. Thank you.
So you have been listening to James Crumbley, convicted of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for his son, Ethan Crumbley, the shooting that left 4 teenagers dead, forever gone. We heard from their parents earlier today. James Crumbley saying he had headphones on, as you saw. It's because he is experiencing hearing loss. That's why you saw those headphones. He expressed devastation, remorse. He said, "I have cried for your loss more times than I can count. I am truly very sorry for the result of my son's actions." It was remorseful, and we know James Crumbley has asked for the time he has spent in jail to be counted against his sentence. We know that his wife has asked to have house arrest, so not to be in jail whatsoever. Now, what prosecutors have said in response to that is, oh, we have some indications that this remorseful testimony might not be so remorseful. For instance, with James Crumbley, they pointed to jailhouse phone calls where he has threatened the prosecutor in this case in rather colorful terms. So perhaps actions not matching words so much there, Jerry. What do you make? It was a little bit of a different tone than Jennifer. It seemed to be all about remorse. We didn't hear from James, for example, that he was a good parent.
So contrite here, and I think that he was well coached by his attorneys to make sure that he appeals to this jury now, because his future in the judge's hands, rather. So I think that's smart. Do I believe it? I really don't know, because what happened before this trial, what happened before the killing, seemed to me a catastrophic lack of parenting. I mean, this young man had access to a gun. The parents bought it for him. It was in the home. It was not locked. There was no restrictions on his ability to gain access to it. And then the day of the shooting, it's in his backpack and nobody finds it. So so many people to point a finger here at: the school, the parents. And I think that this is just, you don't have to be a parent. I'm not a parent, and my heart is breaking over these victim family statements.
And Harris, I think the fact you go back to, the haunting, harrowing fact in all of this, if you were on the jury, is the parents knew he had access to a weapon. They knew he had drawn his intent on that day, a bloody drawing. And in the least, as a parent, a reasonable parent would say, look, I know you're saying he should stay in school. I know he has access to a weapon we bought days ago. Maybe let's check his backpack.
So the key word that you spoke there is reasonable. And I think, you know, to Sean's point earlier, I don't know that we know all the medical in this case with these parents. We were getting a glimpse of what it might have been like in that home. She's completely different than Dad. Completely different. Now, maybe they're on the same scale mental health-wise, but the mom is still in this denial that she played any role It may not be that she had the skills to give as a parent. It may not be that. As Tammy said, maybe she needed the psychotherapy. We don't know. We can't diagnose her from New York, and they're in Michigan, and we're not doctors. But there's so much more to this. If the parent is broken and they're looking at a child and they're broken, how can they fix it? They don't know how. So then the question becomes, well, what was the other parent like in the home? There's so much to this. Now, the prosecution feels like it's gotten to the bottom of everything. But both of these attorneys, if you turn on the mic right now, they're both arguing you don't know the whole story from home. I don't think that we ever will, but we do know that a 15-year-old went to school with a gun in his backpack, killed 4 and injured 7. There are a host of lives that will never be the same.
Can I add something very quickly? Those parents, we think, may not have known. We don't know everything that happened in that household, but what we do know is the most telling thing on that drawing he made, where he said, "Help me." He knew. And that was a confession and a warning and a literal plea, "Help me." And it still did not work. So the 15-year-old knew. How much more did he say, "Help me" at home? But this is where the collection of the adults in every environment, the 15-year-old having to do that.
The youngest victim was 14.
Yeah.
14.
Hannah St. Juliana lost her 15-year-old sister, and she said, if you get 15 years, the maximum here, your sentence will be shorter than my sister's life. Madison's mom, while you were ignoring Ethan's health problems, I was picking out my daughter's college courses. She'll never get to take those college courses.